So you want to become a professional nonprofit grant writer, eh? Grant writing can be a really rewarding job where you get to use your writing skills to help lots of causes that you might care about. If you are thinking about grant writing perhaps as a career, but you have no experience, or maybe you just want to get involved in grant writing, get really good at it to help out a nonprofit that you're involved with, this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to talk you through the steps that you can take starting from zero experience to become an effective nonprofit grant writer. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Amber Melanie Smith, and I make these videos here on YouTube to help people who want to make an impact in the world and are figuring out how they want to do that, whether that's through starting a nonprofit or socially conscious business or social enterprise or being a grant writer. I really want to help people find their path to create a positive difference in the world. So I hope that you find this video helpful and useful. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you are in the process of starting a nonprofit or developing a sustainable fundraising plan for a nonprofit organization, be sure to check out some of the online courses at my website, foundertofulltime.com, that are covering those topics and could possibly help you out. All right, let's get into this topic. Imagine sitting in a coffee shop or perhaps in your home office, sipping your favorite cup of tea or coffee while typing away at a grant proposal to help a wonderful social cause raise the money that they need to change the world. Nonprofit grant writing can be an appealing profession or even a hobby for lots of people, commanding a decent salary in the United States of about $60,000 to $90,000 per year, according to ZipRecruiter. Of course, if you enjoy writing and want to get really good at writing nonprofit grants specifically, you've got to start somewhere. So here are the steps that will take you from little to no experience in grant writing to becoming an effective nonprofit grant writer. Okay, step number one is learn about grants. You want to learn about how they work, their basic structure, and some of the basic rules surrounding how to write them and successfully obtain them. There are so many different kinds of grants. So you want to start with a solid understanding of all of the different kinds because they each have their sort of own different rules that apply to them. You've got your private foundation grants, you've got your community foundation grants, you've got your local, state, or federal government grants, you've got private family foundation grants. I think that's kind of redundant to private foundation. Anyway, you've got your corporate foundation grants. There's just so many. I have another video all about different types of grants called something like 6 different types of grants. Check that out for sure. That is a great guide to get you started on those. I will say, though there are many different kinds of grants, you will see some common questions being asked on most types of grant applications, whether it's government, corporate foundation, or private foundation. So start getting familiar with these types of questions. I also did another video on the common types of questions or sections you would find in a grant application that can help talk you through what you might expect and what funders are looking for in each of those that you can check out. So learn those key components of a grant proposal, everything from the executive summary to the statement of need to your budget, etc. It also wouldn't hurt at this early stage to invest in some learning resources for yourself. Take some online courses, read some books, read some articles, do some practicing, to really start to just absorb everything you can about what grants are, how they work, and what types of organizations and projects and programs are typically eligible for them, because it's not all of them. Okay, so step number 2 is another learning step, and it is to gain knowledge about nonprofit management, because you have to know your customer if you're going to write grants for nonprofits specifically. If you're not already part of the nonprofit world, there's quite a bit to learn because there can be a lot of nuances in how organizations are structured and how they run. So you really want to do your reading and learn about these things: organizational structure and governance, who's leading them, how do they lead these organizations, financial management, how programs that deliver on the mission of the nonprofit are designed and then implemented in the community, budgeting processes, leadership challenges, etc. All of these things will help you gain valuable insights into not just how nonprofits work, but what some of the challenges that they face might be that could be something you would want to explain or articulate in a grant application. One of the most important parts of a nonprofit that you really need to have a strong handle on to be an effective nonprofit grant writer is the budget. And this could be either or both the organization's annual budget or the budget specific to a program or project that is being funded through the grant. So you want to really understand what are the different types of costs that go into running a nonprofit, into executing on a specific program. Most grant applications are going to ask for a budget in the grant application, and some will also go so far as to ask for an explanation of each line in the budget, explaining what the money is being spent on and why. For practice, you can find lots of examples of nonprofit budgets online. You can also look for a nonprofit's 990 or annual tax return, which has to list its top expenses and income sources as well. You can get copies of nonprofits' tax returns on websites like guidestar.org. If you are familiar with a nonprofit or have a relationship with a nonprofit, you might also go so far as to ask if you can see a copy of their budget, and maybe they'd even spend time with you explaining what's in their budget and how it would work. That'd be a great real life way to start to orient yourself around budgets. Step number 3 is to volunteer or get some intern experience with a nonprofit if you can. In addition to learning on paper, it's really helpful to see hands-on what the experience of running a nonprofit and running programs for a nonprofit looks like behind the scenes. Understanding their challenges, why do they need this type of equipment to execute on their program instead of this kind, even though this one costs more? Understanding those things will help you be able to explain it to grant funders down the line in a way that is compelling and helps them understand the situation. So you want to volunteer with organizations, and then once you've built some trust, perhaps there's an opportunity there for you to ask the nonprofit if you could practice writing a grant application for them. Now, for beginning grant writers, sometimes this isn't always going to be a yes, and here's why. It takes a lot of time and work to compile all of the materials needed to be able to equip a grant writer with what they need in order to write a grant. So sometimes they might not have the capacity or bandwidth at that particular moment to be able to get everything together for you. So I just say this so that you know to be patient and know that it's probably nothing personal. They just are stretched thin and are doing the best that they can. Step 4 is to build your grant portfolio. If you are doing some pro bono grant applications for nonprofits that you have a relationship with, this is a great way to get this started, but you want to really compile that professional portfolio of your different grant writing samples. It could be letters of inquiry, which is kind of like a mini short grant application that comes before a real grant application. It could be full grant applications. It could be hopefully some examples of successful grant applications that you've participated in. So once you start to build up that portfolio, especially if you do get some success stories, some successfully funded grants, analyze what made those grants more successful than grants that were not funded, grants that were not selected. This will help you through your learning process as well. But that portfolio is going to be really important either to help you get hired by some kind of firm who does grant writing, or if you want to go solo, it will help you build trust and credibility with future customers in the nonprofit space who might hire you to write grants. Okay, so for step 5, you are starting to build a network of personal connections that might become customers or could connect you to customers one day. So to recap, at this point, you've learned about the basics of grants, their structure and the different types. You have learned about nonprofits and how they work and understand their challenges. You have gotten some hands-on experience with nonprofits and grant writing, hopefully, and started to build a little bit of a portfolio. Now it's time to seek your customers out. So networking events where you can meet other nonprofit professionals or even other grant writers is a great way to start building that contacts list. Some of the more experienced grant writers will be able to point you in the direction of where and how they got some of their customers. And if you're going to a nonprofit networking event, you will have the chance to meet so many different nonprofits who might be needing your expertise as well. These types of events are also really great for continued learning. You'll have access to workshops at these events or resources, books, etc., where you can just continue to hone your grant writing skills. As you're attending, just a logistical point, make sure that you have some kind of mechanism for collecting people's contact information and sharing yours, because the saddest thing in the world is when you meet someone awesome at a networking event and then you forget their name a week later. You could stop at steps 1 through 5 and get a decent start on becoming a professional grant writer. But if you want to take your professional nonprofit grant writing to the next level, here are 2 more steps that you might consider taking. Step number 6 would be developing a professional brand. Just like you would for any other business that you're starting, a brand will help you stand out as a legitimate business and perhaps even highlight a specific niche that you're in. Perhaps you really just love writing grants for animal-related causes, for example. Then maybe that's your specialty, and that's okay. That's like a marketing niche that you have. But building a brand for your grant writing business or career could involve steps like making sure you have a grant writing website, perhaps where you're showcasing parts of your portfolio or success stories or customer testimonials, building a social media or outreach strategy to help maybe attract more clients, having professional email address, things like that. So just building your personal brand to add a sense of legitimacy to your grant writing. Step number 7 that can add just even more credibility and help you stand out to potential customers is to get a couple of professional certifications, those little initials after your name, that relate to fundraising and grant writing. So 2 specifically are CFRE, that's the Certified Fundraising Executive, and then the GPC, which is the Grant Professional Certified certifications. So you can find opportunities through chapters of AFP, which is Association of Fundraising Professionals in your area. There might be some online courses that offer an ability to do this, but you might consider getting some of these certifications and then being able to showcase your certifications on your website or in your LinkedIn profile or some such, and that will add that extra level of professionalism to help you attract your grant writing clients. So I'd love to hear from you at this point. Does being a professional or at least really good grant writer sound like your cup of tea? Or if you already are a grant writer, I'd love to hear what your day-to-day looks like. Does expectation meet reality and so forth? Share that in the comments below. As I mentioned before, if you are starting a nonprofit or developing a sustainable fundraising plan, check out my online courses at foundertofulltime.com. They might be able to help you out. I also have a newsletter that I send out about monthly for changemakers and nonprofit leaders and maybe even grant writers all around the world with tips and strategies and sometimes even grant opportunities in that newsletter. You can find the link to subscribe to that below this video and of course opt out anytime that you need. Finally, I have a group on Facebook called Change the World or Bust. We have about 4,000 people in that group from all around the world who are all trying to make an impact in their own way and are having some great conversations around how to do that. So come on over and join us there, and I hope to see you. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, if you found this useful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith. See you next time.